Winter had come early that year. Snow fell like tears from a gray sky. Clara pressed her face to the cold window. Her breath made fog on the glass. She was 20 years old, but felt ancient inside. "Clara," her mother's voice cut through the house like a knife. "Come here, now." Clara's hands shook, not from cold, from fear. She knew that tone. It meant trouble. It always meant trouble. She walked down the dark hall. Her thin dress barely kept her warm. The other girls in town wore thick wool and silk. Clara wore hand-me-downs and shame. Her family waited in the sitting room. Mother sat straight as a rod. Father would not look at her. Her two brothers smirked by the fire. "Sit," Mother commanded. Clara sat. She kept her eyes down. Looking up only brought more pain. "We have news," Mother said. Her voice was cold as winter wind. "We found someone to take you." Clara's heart stopped. "Take me?" "A marriage arrangement," Father said finally. "Still not looking. You're getting too old. No decent man here wants you." Her brother James laughed. "Can you blame them? Look at her. Plain as mud," added Thomas, her younger brother. And that voice, like a dying crow. Clara felt tears start. She tried to hold them back. Crying only made things worse. Who is he?" she whispered. Mother's lips curved in a cruel smile. "Prince Rowan of Blackmoor." Clara's blood turned to ice. Everyone knew the stories. The Cold Prince, they called him. A man with silver eyes and no heart. A prince who had refused every beautiful princess in the land. "Why would he want me?" Clara asked. "He doesn't," Mother said simply. "His father, the king, owes our family a debt. This is payment." "You mean he's being forced to?" "Both of you are cursed with this match," Mother continued. "But at least we'll be free of your embarrassment." The room went quiet except for the fire's crackle. Clara felt like she was drowning in air. "When?" she managed to ask. "Tomorrow," Father said. "A carriage comes at dawn." Clara stood up too fast. The room spun. "Tomorrow? But I need time to—" "Time for what?" Mother's voice was sharp. "To pack your 3 ugly dresses? To say goodbye to friends you don't have?" The brothers laughed again. The sound made Clara's skin crawl. She ran from the room, up the stairs to her small, cold bedroom. She threw herself on the thin bed and cried until no more tears would come. Through her window, she could see the lights of the town. Other families were having dinner, talking, laughing, being kind to each other. Clara had never known kindness, not from the people who should love her most. She touched her plain brown hair, her ordinary brown eyes, her too thin face. Maybe they were right. Maybe she was a flaw, a mistake. But deep inside, a tiny voice whispered something different. Maybe, just maybe, someone could see her worth. Tomorrow would change everything. She just didn't know if it would be better or worse. The snow kept falling, like the world was crying with her. Prince Rowan stood at his window watching the same snow fall on his castle. But his thoughts were not on the weather. They were on the girl who would arrive tomorrow. Clara, the one his father called payment for an old debt. Rowan was 25, tall, strong, with silver eyes that seemed to see right through people. The court ladies whispered about his beauty, but they also whispered about his coldness. If only they knew the truth. He wasn't cold by choice. He was careful. There was a difference. As a boy he had been different. Gentle where his brothers were rough. Kind where they were cruel. He read books while they practiced sword fighting. He listened to music while they planned battles. "You're weak," his father, the king, had said many times. A prince must be strong, hard, like steel. So Rowan learned to hide his soft heart. He built walls around his feelings. He spoke little. He smiled less. People began to call him the Cold Prince. He let them. It was easier than showing his true self and being hurt. But inside, he dreamed of finding someone who would understand, someone else who felt alone in a crowd. His brothers had married beautiful princesses. Grand weddings, political alliances. No love, just duty. Rowan had refused every match his father suggested. Until now. "This girl, Clara," the king had said. "Her family saved my life in battle years ago. I owe them a debt. You will marry her." "What is she like?" Rowan had asked. The king shrugged. "Plain, quiet, perfect for you. You won't have to pretend to love her." But something in Rowan stirred. A plain, quiet girl, just like he was a quiet prince. Maybe she would understand what it felt like to be different, to be judged, to be alone. He had asked for her portrait. There wasn't one. Noble families always had portraits of their daughters. Unless they were ashamed of how she looked. This made Rowan's heart ache. He knew what it felt like to disappoint family, can never be quite what they wanted. He decided something that night. He would be kind to this Clara. Even if they never loved each other, he would give her what he had always wanted. Respect, safety, a place to belong. The snow was getting heavier. Tomorrow she would arrive scared and alone. He would make sure she knew. Whatever else happened, she was safe now. Rowan had never been excited about a marriage before. But tonight, he felt something like hope. Maybe they could save each other. The carriage ride took all day. Clara sat alone on hard seats, watching the world change outside her window. Fields turned to forests. Small houses became grand estates. Everything grew bigger, more beautiful, more frightening. Her stomach twisted with nerves. What would he look like? Would he be cruel right away, or would he wait until after the wedding? She touched her face. Still plain, still wrong. The prince would take one look and hate her, just like everyone else did. The castle appeared at sunset. Massive stone walls, tall towers that scraped the sky, windows that glowed like golden eyes. Clara had never seen anything so grand, or so scary. The carriage stopped. A servant opened her door. Clara's legs shook as she stepped out. Her simple bag felt heavy in her hands. "This way, miss," the servant said. His voice was kind. Clara looked up, surprised. He was an older man, with gentle eyes. He smiled at her. Actually smiled. "Prince Rowan is waiting in the great hall," he continued. "Don't worry, he doesn't bite." Clara almost smiled back. Almost. They walked through corridors lined with paintings and tapestries. Everything was rich and beautiful. Clara felt smaller with each step. The great hall doors opened. Clara's breath caught. The room was enormous. A fire blazed in a fireplace bigger than her bedroom. Candles filled the space with warm light. And there, by the fire, stood a man. He was tall, very tall. Dark hair fell across his forehead. And his eyes, silver, like moonlight on water. Clara stopped walking. Her heart pounded so loud she was sure he could hear it. He looked at her. Really looked. Not a glance. Not a dismissive scan. He studied her face like it mattered. Clara waited for the judgment. The disappointment. The cruel words. Instead, he walked toward her. Slowly, calmly. He stopped 3 feet away, close enough to see her clearly, far enough to not frighten her. Then he did something Clara never expected. He bowed to her. A prince, bowing to plain Clara. "You must be Clara," he said. His voice was deep but soft. "I am Rowan. Welcome to your new home." Your new home. Not his home. Not the castle. Her home. Clara blinked. Was this a trick? A cruel joke? You're not angry?" she whispered. "Angry?" He looked genuinely confused. "Why would I be angry? Because you're stuck with me. Because I'm not what you wanted." Something changed in his silver eyes. They grew warmer. Sadder. "Clara," he said gently. "I think we've both been told lies about what we're worth." He gestured to a chair by the fire. "Are you hungry? Cold?" The journey was long. Clara nodded. She was both. He led her to the chair. It was soft, warm from the fire. He brought her soup and bread, real bread, white and soft and still warm. Clara ate slowly, waiting for the catch. The moment he would turn cruel, it didn't come. Instead, he sat across from her. He didn't stare, didn't make her uncomfortable. He just was there. "Are you tired?" he asked, when she finished eating. "A little," Clara admitted. "Mrs. Baker will show you to your room. It's ready for you. Tomorrow we can talk more about everything." Clara stood. Her legs felt steadier now. "Prince Rowan," she said softly. "Just Rowan," he corrected. "We're to be married. No need for titles." "Rowan, thank you for being kind." His silver eyes held hers. "Thank you for coming. I know you didn't have a choice. But I'm glad you're here." Clara felt something strange in her chest. A warmth she'd never felt before. Maybe this wouldn't be the prison she'd feared. Maybe it might even be home. 3 weeks passed like a gentle dream. Clara woke each morning in her own room. A real room with thick blankets and a window that looked out on gardens, not the cold, dark corner she'd known all her life. Mrs. Baker brought her warm breakfast. The older woman had kind eyes and a soft voice. She never made Clara feel rushed or unwanted. "Good morning, dear," she'd say. "Sleep well?" Clara always nodded. She did sleep well here, for the first time in years. Rowan kept his distance at first. Polite, careful, but always kind. They ate dinner together in a small dining room, not the grand hall, somewhere warmer, more personal. He asked about her day, her thoughts, her dreams. No one had ever asked Clara about her dreams before. I always wanted to learn about healing, she admitted one evening. Plants and herbs, how to help people feel better. There's a healing garden here, Rowan said, behind the kitchen, full of medicinal plants. Would you like to see it? Clara's eyes lit up. Could I? It's your garden now too, he said simply. The next morning, he showed her the healing garden. Rows of lavender and mint, chamomile and sage, plants Clara had only read about in old books. Can I work here? She asked. Of course, Mrs. Baker has been tending it, but she'd love help. Her knees aren't what they used to be. So Clara began spending her mornings in the garden. Weeding, watering, learning the names of plants and their uses. Mrs. Baker taught her which herbs helped headaches, which ones eased sore throats, how to dry them properly for winter. You have gentle hands, Mrs. Baker said one day. Plants grow better for gentle people. Clara felt a glow of pride. She was good at this, actually good at something. In the afternoons, she explored the castle. The library amazed her most. Shelves and shelves of books, more books than she'd known existed. Rowan found her there one day reading about herbal remedies. Learning? He asked, sitting beside her. Trying to, Clara said. I want to be useful. Not just here. You're already useful, Rowan said quietly. The servants adore you. You helped Tom with his infected cut. You made Sarah feel better when she had that terrible cough. Clara looked up, surprised. You noticed? I notice everything about you, he said. Then his cheeks reddened slightly, like he'd said more than he meant to. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Clara reading. Rowan is working on castle accounts. It felt nice, natural, like they belonged together in the quiet space. Days turned into a routine. Garden work in the morning, reading in the afternoon, quiet dinners together in the evening. Clara began to relax. Her shoulders stopped hunching. Her voice grew stronger. She even laughed sometimes at Rowan's gentle jokes. One evening as they walked through the castle gardens, Clara realized something amazing. She felt happy. Actually happy. For the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid. Wasn't waiting for cruelty. Wasn't trying to make herself invisible. She was just Clara, and that seemed to be enough for Rowan. Maybe even more than enough. She glanced at him as they walked. His silver eyes were thoughtful, kind. When he looked at her, she didn't see disappointment. She saw something that made her heart flutter. Respect. Maybe even affection. The thought both thrilled and terrified her. What if she was wrong? What if this was all pretend? But watching him bend to examine a flower she'd planted, seeing him smile when she talked about her healing work, it felt real. It felt like the beginning of something wonderful. Something Clara had never dared to hope for. Love. Summer came to the castle like a warm embrace. Clara's garden flourished under her care. The healing herbs grew thick and green. Villagers began coming to the castle when they felt sick. Word had spread that the prince's wife knew about healing. Please, an old woman said one morning. My grandson has terrible stomach pains. Can you help? Clara felt nervous. What if she made a mistake? What if she made the boy worse? But she remembered her reading. Chamomile tea for stomach troubles. Peppermint to ease nausea. She prepared the herbs carefully. Showed the grandmother how to make the tea. 3 days later, the woman returned with her grandson, a healthy, smiling boy. Thank you, the grandmother said, tears in her eyes. He's completely better. Clara's heart soared. She had helped someone. Actually helped. More people came after that. A man with a bad cough. A young mother whose baby couldn't sleep. An old farmer with aching joints. Clara treated them all with gentle care. She listened to their problems. She prepared remedies with love. And they got better. Word spread further. People called her the healing princess. They brought gifts from their gardens, eggs from their chickens, bread from their ovens. Clara had never felt so useful, so valued. Rowan watched all of this with growing admiration. You've changed everything, he told her one evening. They were walking through the village. People waved and smiled as they passed. What do you mean? Clara asked. Before you came, the people were afraid of the castle. They saw it as cold, unwelcoming. Now they see it as a place of help, of healing. He stopped walking and turned to face her. You did that, Clara. You brought warmth to this place. Clara felt her cheeks grow hot. I wanted to help. I know, Rowan said softly. That's what makes you special. Their eyes met. Clara felt something electric pass between them. Something warm and wonderful and scary all at once. Rowan reached out slowly, gently touched her face. You're beautiful, he whispered. Clara's breath caught. No, I'm not. I'm plain. Everyone says so. Everyone is wrong, Rowan said firmly. Beauty isn't just a pretty face, Clara. It's kindness. It's caring about others. It's the way you smile when you help someone feel better. His thumb traced her cheek. It's the way your eyes light up when you talk about your plants. The way you laugh when Mrs. Baker tells stories. The way you make everyone around you feel valued. Clara felt tears start, but not sad tears. Happy ones. Rowan, I need to tell you something, he said. His voice was serious now. This marriage, it started as duty, for both of us. Clara's heart clenched. Was he about to say it was all pretend? But Clara, he took her hands in his. Somewhere along the way, it became real. For me, Clara's world tilted. Real? I love you, Rowan said simply. I love your gentle heart, your healing hands, your quiet strength. I love how you've made this castle feel like home. Clara stared at him. Love. He loved her. Plain, ordinary Clara. I love you too, she whispered. The words felt like magic on her tongue. Rowan's smile was brighter than sunshine. He pulled her close, held her tight. We'll have a good life together, he murmured against her hair. A real marriage, a loving one. Clara closed her eyes and breathed in his scent, cedar and warmth and home. She had grown strong like her summer flowers, rooted in love, reaching toward the light. The scared, broken girl who had arrived in winter was gone. In her place stood a woman, a healer, a princess, a wife who was truly loved. That evening, Clara and Rowan sat by the fire in his private study. Rain tapped against the windows like gentle fingers. Clara felt different, braver. Love did that. She was learning. It made you feel strong enough to share your deepest truths. Rowan, she said softly, can I tell you something about my family? He set down his book and gave her his full attention. Of course. Clara took a deep breath. The story wanted to come out, like poison that needed to be drained from a wound. They never wanted me, she began. From the day I was born, I was wrong. Rowan's jaw tightened, but he stayed quiet. Let her speak. My mother wanted a son. When I came instead, she looked at me like I had ruined her life. My father barely spoke to me. My brother, Clara's voice caught. They called me names. Ugly. Stupid. A waste of space. They said I was lucky any man would take me, even as payment for a debt. Tears started falling. Years of hurt pouring out. I believed them, Clara whispered. I thought I was worthless. A mistake. Something to be ashamed of. Rowan moved to sit beside her. He pulled her close, his arms strong and warm around her. They were wrong, he said fiercely. So completely wrong. Clara looked up at him through her tears. How can you be sure? Because I know what real worth looks like now, Rowan said. It looks like you, Clara, caring for sick children, growing healing plants, making lonely people feel valued. He wiped her tears away with gentle thumbs. Your family couldn't see your worth because they don't know what real value is. They only see surfaces, pretty faces, easy things. Clara felt something shift inside her, a knot of pain loosening. Now let me tell you my truth, Rowan said quietly. Clara settled against his chest, ready to listen. My father never wanted a sensitive son, Rowan began. He wanted warriors, fighters, sons who would expand his kingdom through violence. His voice grew heavy with old hurt. But I was different. I cried at sad stories. I preferred books to battles. I wanted to help people, not conquer them. Clara could picture young Rowan, gentle and kind in a harsh world. My father called me weak, disappointing. He said I would never be fit to rule. My brothers agreed. They mocked me for reading, for caring about our people's problems. Rowan's arms tightened around her. So I learned to hide who I really was. I built walls around my heart. I stopped showing emotion, stopped letting people close. But you let me close, Clara said softly. Because you understand, Rowan replied. You know what it's like to be judged for being different, to be told you're not enough. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. The fire crackled. The rain continued its gentle song. Rowan, Clara said eventually. I'm glad we found each other. She felt him smile against her hair. Even though we were both forced into this marriage. Especially because of that, Clara said. If we'd had choices, we might have chosen the wrong people. People who couldn't understand us. People who wanted us to be different than we are. Rowan agreed. Clara tilted her head to look at him. We're perfect for each other, aren't we? Two broken pieces that fit together. Not broken, Rowan corrected gently. Just misunderstood. Until now. He leaned down and kissed her forehead. Soft and sweet and full of promise. I have an idea, he said suddenly. What? Let's write letters. to our younger selves. Tell them that someday, someone will love them exactly as they are. Clara's eyes filled with fresh tears. Happy ones this time. Dear little Clara, she said softly, you are not a mistake. You are not too quiet or too plain. Someday you will heal people with your gentle hands. Someday a prince will call you beautiful. Dear young Rowan, he continued, your sensitivity is not weakness. It's strength. Your gentle heart will help you love someone who needs that gentleness. You will rule with kindness, not cruelty. They held each other close as the fire burned low. Two souls who had found their home in each other's arms, in each other's understanding. The scared children they had been could finally rest. They were safe now, loved now, home now, forever. Autumn painted the castle grounds in gold and red. Clara had been married for 6 months now. 6 months of happiness she'd never imagined possible. But happiness, she was learning, made some people angry. The letter arrived on a crisp October morning. Royal seal. Formal writing. Bad news. Clara found Rowan in his study, frowning at the parchment. What is it? She asked, settling beside him. Your family, Rowan said grimly. They're coming for a visit. Clara's blood turned to ice. What? Why? Apparently word has spread about your success here. Your healing work. How the people love you. Rowan's voice was carefully controlled, but Clara could hear the anger underneath. They say they want to reconnect with their dear daughter. They'll arrive next week. Clara felt sick. She knew her family. This wasn't about love or pride. This was about opportunity. They want something, she said quietly. I think so too, Rowan agreed. The letter mentioned several times how fortunate you've been, how your simple skills have somehow impressed people. Clara stood up, pacing to the window. Her hands shook. I don't want to see them, she admitted. I'm finally happy, finally at peace. They'll ruin it. Rowan came to stand behind her, his hands settled on her shoulders, warm and steady. They can't ruin anything unless we let them, he said firmly. You're not the same scared girl they sent away, Clara. What if I am, though? Clara turned in his arms. What if I see them and become small again? What if I forget who I am here? Look at me, Rowan said gently. Clara met his silver eyes. You are Princess Clara, wife of Prince Rowan, healer to our people. You have worth that has nothing to do with their opinion. He cupped her face in his hands. But if you don't want to see them, just say the word. I'll send them away. Clara felt a surge of love for this man who would protect her without question. But another feeling stirred too. Curiosity, maybe even strength. No, she said slowly. I think I want to face them. Are you sure? Clara thought about it. 6 months ago, she would have hidden, cowered, believed their cruel word. But now she had seen her own worth reflected in other people's eyes. The villagers who brought their sick children to her, Mrs. Baker, who called her dear, Rowan, who called her beautiful. She had proof of her value now, real solid proof. I'm sure, Clara said with growing confidence. Let them come. Let them see what they threw away. Rowan's smile was proud and fierce. That's my brave wife. But as the week passed, Clara's confidence wavered. Old fears crept back like shadows. What if she really was fooling herself? What if her family was right, and everyone here was just being polite? The night before their arrival, Clara couldn't sleep. She paced their bedroom, wringing her hands. Rowan found her by the window, staring out at the gardens she'd nurtured. Having second thoughts? He asked softly. Terrible third and fourth thoughts, Clara admitted. Rowan wrapped his arms around her from behind. Do you remember what Mrs. Baker said yesterday? He asked. Clara shook her head. She said the village children are calling you the angel princess, 'cause you make their hurts go away. Clara felt some of the tightness in her chest ease. And Tom the blacksmith. He said his wife cried happy tears when you saved their baby from that fever. More peace settled over Clara. And me. Rowan's voice was soft against her ear. I wake up every morning grateful that fate brought me the most wonderful woman in the world. Clara leaned back against his solid warmth. Tomorrow, Rowan continued, when they try to make you feel small, remember all of this. Remember who you really are. Clara turned in his arms, looked into his loving silver eyes. Who am I? She asked. You're Clara, Rowan said firmly. Healer, princess. My beloved wife. A woman of worth and strength and beauty. Clara rose up on her toes and kissed him, soft and sure. Thank you, she whispered against his lips, for helping me remember. Tomorrow would bring her family, and old wounds, and probably new cruelty. But it would also bring a chance to show them the truth. She wasn't their unwanted daughter anymore. She was a princess, a healer, a woman who was deeply loved. and that was something they could never take away. They arrived in a fancy carriage with gold trim. Clara watched from her window as they stepped out into the courtyard. Mother, still tall and sharp-edged. Father, still unable to meet anyone's eyes directly. James and Thomas, her brothers, were looking around like they owned the place. Clara's stomach twisted, but she stood straighter. She was not the same girl they'd sent away. Rowan appeared beside her at the window. "Ready?" he asked. Clara took a deep breath. "Ready." They met the family in the great hall. The same hall where Clara had first met Rowan, where kindness had first touched her life. "Clara!" Mother's voice was bright. "Fake, my dear daughter. How wonderful you look." Clara almost laughed. 6 months ago, Mother had called her plain as mud. Now suddenly she looked wonderful. "Mother," Clara said calmly. "Father, James, Thomas." She didn't run to them, didn't bow her head. She stood beside Rowan as an equal. Father's eyes widened slightly. This was not the meek girl he remembered. "Prince Rowan," Mother continued with a curtsy. "How generous of you to invite us." "Actually," Rowan said smoothly, "you invited yourselves, but you're welcome nonetheless." James stepped forward, his eyes scanning the rich hall. "Quite a place you have here, sister." The way he said sister made Clara's skin crawl, like he was remembering they were related now that it might benefit him. "Thank you," Clara said simply. "We've heard amazing things," Thomas added, "about your little hobby, playing with plants." There it was, the dismissal. The way they made everything she did sound small and silly. But Clara felt Rowan's presence beside her. Remembered Mrs. Baker's proud smile, the grateful faces of people she'd helped heal. "It's not a hobby," Clara said clearly. "It's my calling. I'm the castle healer. I tend to anyone who needs help." "How charitable," Mother said. The word sounded like an insult in her mouth. Mrs. Baker appeared in the doorway. "Excuse me, Princess Clara. Young Mary's fever has broken. Her mother wanted to thank you." A woman Clara recognized hurried in behind Mrs. Baker. She carried a sleeping toddler. "Princess Clara," the woman said, tears in her eyes. "My Mary is completely well. The herbs you gave me, they saved her life." She fell to her knees. Thank you so much." Clara hurried to help the woman stand. "Please, don't kneel. I'm just glad Mary is better." The woman left with more thanks and blessings. Clara's family stared. The grateful love in the woman's voice had been impossible to fake. "Well," Mother said after a moment, "that was nice." Nice. Like Clara had done something as simple as picking flowers. But more people began appearing. Word had spread that Princess Clara was in the great hall. An old man whose arthritis Clara had eased. A young mother whose baby Clara had helped through colic. A teenager whose terrible skin condition had cleared with Clara's treatments. One by one, they came to thank her. To bring small gifts, to tell Clara how she'd changed their lives. Clara's family grew quieter and quieter as the parade continued. Finally, the last villager left. The hall fell silent. "Amazing," Father said slowly. "All those people, they really love you." "They respect her," Rowan corrected firmly, "because she's earned it through kindness and skill." James shifted uncomfortably. "We always knew Clara was special." Clara almost choked. Special? They'd called her worthless. Strange. A burden. But she didn't point this out. She had better things to do than relitigate the past. "I'm happy here," Clara said simply. "I have work that matters. People who value me. A husband who loves me." She looked each family member in the eye. "I've found where I belong." Mother's mask of fake sweetness slipped slightly. "Of course, dear. We're so proud." The word came out strained, like it hurt to say. "Good," Clara said calmly, "because I'm proud of myself too." The visit continued for 3 more days. Clara was polite, but distant. She showed them the gardens, introduced them to the castle staff, let them see her life. But she didn't try to win their approval anymore. She didn't need it. On the last day, as they prepared to leave, Mother pulled Clara aside. "You've done well for yourself," she admitted grudgingly. "Yes," Clara agreed. "I have. Perhaps we were too harsh when you were younger." Clara looked at this woman who had made her childhood a misery. She felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, just emptiness where the pain used to live. "Perhaps," Clara said quietly. "But it doesn't matter now." Mother's eyes flashed. She wasn't used to Clara being so unmoved. "We're still your family," Mother said sharply. "No," Clara replied gently but firmly. "Rowan is my family. The people here who love and respect me are my family. You're just people I used to know." Mother's face went red. But what could she say? Clara wasn't wrong. As the carriage pulled away, Clara felt a weight lift from her shoulders. The last chain connecting her to her painful past had finally broken. Rowan found her in the gardens that evening, tending her herbs by moonlight. "How do you feel?" he asked. Clara considered the question. How did she feel? "Free," she said finally. "Completely wonderfully free." Rowan kissed the top of her head. "Good. That's exactly how you should feel." Clara smiled up at him. "I love you. I love you too, my brave, strong, beautiful wife." And Clara finally, truly believed him. Winter returned to the castle, but this year Clara welcomed it. She was no longer the scared girl who had arrived in the snow. She was a woman who had found her strength. The healing garden slept under white blankets, but Clara's work continued. She had dried herbs, stored carefully, remedies prepared in advance. The people still came to her when they were sick or hurt, but something else was growing too. Clara's confidence had blossomed into something new. Leadership. It started small. When Mrs. Baker's old friend came to visit, Clara insisted the woman stay as long as needed. When the kitchen boy fell and hurt his arm badly, Clara didn't ask Rowan's permission before calling the doctor from town. She just acted, like someone with authority, like someone whose decisions mattered. Rowan noticed and loved it. "You're becoming quite the queen," he teased one evening as Clara organized supplies for the village family struggling through a harsh winter. "Queen?" Clara looked up, surprised. "A leader," Rowan clarified. "Someone people turn to for help and guidance." Clara felt a flutter of something new. Pride, maybe. "Our purpose, is that allowed?" she asked. "For me to make decisions without asking you first?" Rowan set down his papers and came to sit beside her. "Clara," he said seriously, "you're not my servant, you're my partner, my equal. I want you to make decisions. I want you to lead." "But I don't know how to be a leader," Clara protested. "You're already doing it," Rowan pointed out. "Every time you help someone, every time you solve a problem, every time you make someone feel valued." He gestured to the supplies she was organizing. "This? Taking care of our people during hard times? This is what good rulers do." Clara looked at the blankets and food she'd gathered, the medicine she'd prepared. She had done this, all of it, because she'd seen a need and acted to fill it. "I suppose I am good at taking care of people," she admitted. "The best I've ever seen," Rowan said warmly. That spring brought a test Clara never expected. A sickness came to the neighboring village. Not life-threatening, but stubborn. The local healer was old and overwhelmed. A messenger came to the castle, begging for help. Clara didn't hesitate. She packed her supplies and prepared to leave immediately. "I'll come with you," Rowan said. "No," Clara said firmly. Then, more gently, "I need to do this myself. To prove I can." Rowan searched her face. Saw the determination there. "All right," he said, "but take guards with you, and send word every day." Clara spent 2 weeks in the village. She worked from dawn to dusk, treating the sick, teaching local women how to prepare the remedies, organizing care for families with multiple sick members. Slowly, the illness retreated. People recovered. The crisis passed. But more than that, Clara had led the entire effort. She had made decisions, solved problems, earned respect through her own actions. When she returned to the castle, the villagers followed her, not to ask for more help, but to thank her, to honor her. "Princess Clara saved our village," the village elder announced in the castle courtyard. "We name her our guardian angel." The crowd cheered. Clara felt tears of joy on her cheeks. Later, alone with Rowan, she marveled at what had happened. "I wasn't scared," she said wonderingly. "When they needed help, I just knew what to do." "That's leadership," Rowan said proudly. "Natural, instinctive leadership. My family always said I was too quiet to matter," Clara remembered. "Your family was wrong about everything," Rowan replied firmly. "Quiet doesn't mean weak. It means thoughtful, careful. Those are exactly the qualities a good leader needs." Clara curled up against his side, thinking about the girl she used to be, the one who believed she was worthless. "Do you think," she began slowly, "do you think someday I could really be a queen? Not just in title, but in action?" Rowan's arms tightened around her. "Clara, you already are a queen, in every way that matters." He tilted her chin up to meet his eyes. "You rule through love instead of fear. You lead by serving others. You make people feel valued and cared for." His smile was soft and proud. "That's not just queenly behavior. That's the best kind of ruling there is." Clara felt something settle deep in her soul, a certainty she'd never experienced before. She knew who she was now, not the unwanted daughter her birth family had rejected, not the scared girl who had arrived at this castle in the snow. She was Clara, healer, leader, queen of hearts if not yet of lands. and she was exactly who she was meant to be. The scared little girl was gone forever. In her place stood a woman who could change lives with her gentle strength, a woman who had finally found her voice and discovered it was powerful beyond measure. 5 years had passed since Clara first arrived at the castle in that terrible winter snow. Now she stood in the same great hall, but everything was different. She was different. Sunlight streamed through windows she had helped design. Tapestries she had commissioned hung on the walls. Not scenes of battle, but images of healing, growing and caring for others. The hall was full of people, not for a wedding this time, but for a coronation. The old king had died peacefully in his sleep. Rowan was now king, and Clara was about to become queen. She looked out at the crowd and saw faces she knew. Villagers she had healed, children she had helped raise, people whose lives she had touched with her gentle care. Mrs. Baker sat in the front row, tears of pride streaming down her weathered cheeks. Tom the blacksmith was there with his whole family, including the baby Clara had saved from fever years ago, now a healthy toddler. In the back, almost hidden, stood her birth family. They had come uninvited, hoping perhaps to claim some reflected glory. Clara felt nothing for them. No anger, no hurt. They were just strangers now. Her real family was here. The people who had loved her, valued her, and seen her worth from the beginning. Rowan stood beside her, magnificent in his royal robes. But when Clara looked at him, she still saw the kind man who had given her bread and safety on that first terrifying night. The ceremony began. Ancient words were spoken, holy oils applied, symbols of power and responsibility placed in Clara's hands. But the moment that mattered most came when the crown was lifted toward her head. "Do you, Clara, promise to rule with wisdom and compassion?" the bishop asked. "I do," Clara said clearly. Her voice carried through the hall without shaking. "Do you promise to protect the weak and care for those in need?" "I do." This was easy to promise. She had been doing it for years. "Do you promise to lead with love instead of fear?" "I do." With all her heart, the crown settled on her head. Not heavy, as she had expected, but warm, right, like it belonged there. "Rise, Queen Clara," the bishop announced, protector of the realm, mother to all people. The crowd erupted in cheers, but Clara heard individual voices in the noise. "Queen Clara," shouted the baker's son, whose broken arm she had helped heal. "Our angel queen," cried the woman whose difficult birth Clara had attended, saving both mother and child. "The people's queen," called out dozens of voices together. Clara felt tears on her cheeks, but not sad tears, joy tears. She looked out at all these beloved faces and realized something wonderful. She had never wanted to be queen for power or glory. She had wanted it to help more people, to do more good, and now she could. Rowan took her hand as they walked from the hall. "King and queen, partners in all things. How does it feel?" he asked softly. "Like coming home," Clara replied. "Like this is what I was always meant to do." That evening, they held a feast, but not the formal, stuffy affair royal protocol demanded. Clara had insisted on something different. Tables were set up in the courtyard. Everyone was invited. Nobles sat next to farmers. Castle staff mingled with village families. Children played between the tables, while adults shared food and stories. Clara moved through the crowd, not as a distant queen, but as a friend. She asked about sick relatives, admired new babies, listened to concerns and ideas. This was her kingdom. These were her people. And she was exactly where she belonged. Late that night, after the last guest had gone home, Clara and Rowan sat together in their private garden. The same garden where Clara had first learned to grow things, to nurture life. "Do you remember," Rowan said softly, "that first night when you arrived? You were so scared, so convinced you had no worth." Clara smiled, thinking of that terrified girl. "She feels like a different person now." "She was you, though," Rowan pointed out. "Just you before you learned to see your own value." Clara considered this. Maybe that scared girl needed to exist, so this confident woman could appreciate what she has. "Maybe," Rowan agreed. He pulled her closer. "I'm proud of you, of who you've become, of who you've always been, underneath the fear." Clara looked up at the stars, thinking about the journey that had brought her here. From unwanted daughter to beloved queen. From someone who believed she was worthless, to someone who knew her own immense value. The path had been difficult, painful at times, but every step had been necessary. "Rowan," she said softly, "thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself." "Thank you," he replied, "for becoming the woman you were always meant to be." Clara touched her new crown, still amazed it was real. Queen Clara, who ruled with love, who led by serving, who proved that gentle strength was the most powerful force of all. She had found her voice. her purpose, her home, and she was just getting started. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new people to help, new ways to make the kingdom better. Clara could hardly wait. The scared girl in the winter snow was gone forever. In her place stood a queen who would change the world, one gentle act of love at a time. And that, Clara thought with deep satisfaction, was exactly the kind of queen the world needed, the kind of queen she had always been destined to become.